Hello everyone, I welcome you all to your lovely channel Forensic Fibres. After a long time, I am gonna upload this video, so I know you must be super excited for it as well. We will discuss about the importance of fiber evidence. The questions from this topic are often framed in a UGC net examination, and this is one of the most ignored topic. I don't know why, but okay, we will ponder upon this and let us see what are the key points that we could learn from today's lecture. So first of all, you must know what is the importance of fiber as an evidence and why it is used as a separate discipline and why it is required to be studied. First of all, fiber evidence are most common evidence because everyone in this universe wear clothes, almost everyone, okay, apart from excluding people who still survive on leaves and all. So many of us still wear clothes, and clothes are made up of fibers. Almost every cloth is made up of fiber, to be more precise. Fibers can be present almost everywhere, but they might not be visible. Why? Because of their minute size. So fiber can be present on the weapon that is used for the offense, that can be used to correlate that evidence with the perpetrator. Then fibers have an excellent adhering property. They could be adhered with the bullets that is being fired, and this fiber present on the bullet are an excellent evidence that whether the bullet has penetrated the body of the victim or not, because they must be wearing some garment must be containing some fiber, and the fiber present on the bullet are an evidence for that. Then in the case where hit and run is involved, in the case of some accident, fiber can be found on the vehicle because the vehicle must have hit the person and the person must be wearing the clothes, and again the same cycle repeats. Presence of trace material on the fiber. Trace material like what? Like fingerprint can also be present on the fiber, and that fiber can provide an excellent link to the perpetrator, to the offender. Then the fiber present on the body or clothing of the victim of assault, rape, or homicide can also be helpful for identification of assailant. Fiber from the cloth of assailant, if found on the body of victim, so what else can be better evidence than this? Then we have, okay, these pictures are taken from B.S. Nabar's book, so you can prefer it for fiber evidence as well. However, it is better for basic understanding purpose only. This is what I suggest to you, so you can prefer that book as well. Then here are some common types of fiber that can be encountered in the crime scene, and question can be framed from this portion as well. Some natural fiber. Natural means that is obtained directly from the nature, maybe from animal, maybe from vegetables or plants, like cotton or linen, hemp. These are all the plants, cotton plant and hemp plant. Here's the image of hemp. Look, this is how hemp looks like, and can also be a great source of fiber. Then wool, silk wool obtained from angora goat, and can also be obtained from sheep. Silk from silkworm, and other animal hairs are used for this purpose as well. Regenerated fiber undergo high processing, then they convert into fiber like rayon. Then synthetic fiber, your nylon, dacron, acrylion, these are all the synthetic fiber, means they are man-made, they are processed in the factories. Then we have this miscellaneous fiber, fiberglass and asbestos. These are some of the common examples. Let us look at the characteristics of fiber. All the fiber categories that we have discussed in the types of fiber section, we will look upon each of the characteristics of all those fibers, be it natural, synthetic, and all. Then natural fiber. Wool is a natural fiber. What I've explained to you, the fibers which are of natural origin, be it from plant or it may be obtained from some animal, these are the natural fiber. So these questions are often asked from this segment which I am going to teach you now, like which fiber among the following contains scales. So the answer would be wool. Wool is scaly, it contains scales, okay, and it has great diameter and contains some coarseness. And when you identify this wool under the microscope, then color or the morphological characters can be easily observed. Textile fiber of reasonable length, means sufficiently long textile fiber that are composed of wool. They usually show curl ya blend, or both of them could be present, which is the result of spinning or weaving. Means when the wool is processed, when the spinning and weaving are done, so there are some sort of curl and bend that are formed as a result of what, of spinning, so which can also be observed under the microscope. Okay, and these are not same as a natural curl of hair. Curl of hair means the curl of hair of wool or the angora goat, angora whatsoever animal it is obtained from. Then in case of cotton, cotton is a plant fiber. There may be other plant fibers as well, like hemp, we have talked about it. So they all are different in the appearances. When you make a microscopic examination of this cotton fiber, twisted ribbon like structures will be obtained. Okay, and here mercerized cotton, when the cotton is treated for sufficiently long time in the caustic solution, then what happens, there will be some swelling of the fiber, and this will keep on increasing, giving it a silky appearance. Therefore you must have seen the cotton clothes have some sort of silky appearance in them as well. So this is the reason. And then we have linen. This is how cloth made up of linen material looks like. This is the linen fiber. This is also one of the most commonly used vegetable fiber, and it lacks the scales. Scales were present in wool fiber, we have already discussed about it. So linen do not have this scale, they don't possess it. Then the regenerated fiber. What happens is, in the case of regenerated fiber, we obtain the raw material from some plant based product. It can be from some animal based products as well. Then they are processed and converted into a fine material. So they are not same as the natural fiber, and they are neither synthetic fiber, but they are one of their own kind. They are the intermediate category. Here are the example like viscous acetate and cuprammonium rayon. These are some of the examples of regenerated fiber. The machine made fiber obtained by regenerated cellulose. Cellulose is obtained from plants, I hope all of you know it. Then it has some structural and other properties of cellulose as well. Why? Because it is obtained from cellulose. So the material, the fiber which are regenerated in nature, they will also contain the property of the raw material from which they are prepared. Okay, then the synthetic fiber, simply synthetic, solely manufactured from synthetic chemical, wholesale manufactured in factory, no involvement of any sort of animal or plant based raw material. For example, the nylon, the polyesters, the acrylic, these are all the examples. And the miscellaneous fiber, the fiber which don't fall in either of the category. So other vegetable fiber like jute, then less commonly used hemp, sisal, and the ravi fiber. Animal fiber other than wool like goat hair, rabbit hair. Oh, I have explained it to you. The angora goat, the hair of angora rabbit. They can also be found on the clothes of the victim, and they are all the examples of miscellaneous fiber. Then mineral fibers are also there, like asbestos and glass. They are obtained from mineral. Do you think the glass is obtained from plant or animal? No, it is not. So they fall in this category. Then we have this category of mixed fiber. Most clothing fiber have more than one color or shades, and they can be combination of more than one type of fiber, like combination of wool and cotton. The jacket which we wear in winter, they are often seen as a combination of leather and some cotton or maybe woolen or any other material that is present on the inner side. So these are the combined type of cloth. And the sari which our mother wear are also nowadays available in that format, where the blouse piece is made up of silk or some lustrous material, where the entire sari would be of cotton, or some joint pieces will be attached side by side. So this is the most common type of fiber, I guess, found nowadays, where mixed form of fibers are used combinedly. This is the most important portion of the entire lecture. We will discuss about the identification and comparison of fibers, because as a forensic expert, as a forensic investigator, this is the most important segment for you. if you obtain some fiber from the forensic crime scene, then what would be done, what would be the further processes that has to be carried out is also your responsibility. Okay, apart from knowing the nature of the fiber and this basics things, here is something advanced that we would now take into consideration and we will learn about it. So let us begin with the identification and comparison of manufactured fiber. The first and the foremost examination that is carried out for any of the trace evidence that we encounter at the crime scene is microscopic examination. It is a preliminary examination, and the first step whenever you encounter a fiber evidence would simply be to compare its color and its diameter using the comparison microscope. In the comparison microscope, the samples are kept side by side and then the comparison is made. For an example, you obtain two fibers from different clothing, maybe from similar clothing, you don't know about it, and it is almost impossible to predict its color by naked eyes because they are microscopic in size. So when you observe under the comparison microscope and the color appear to be different, so it can easily be figured out that they don't belong to the same piece of cloth, maybe they don't belong to the same person, who knows. Apart from matching the color, other morphological features can also be matched. And okay, this image, this particular segment is obtained from the book of Richard Seyferstein, sirs. So you can go and check out this topic in the book itself. Then, what was I telling you? Okay, then other morphological features can also be obtained, like the size, the diameter of the length of the fiber that you have obtained, and the delustering particle like titanium dioxide. Delustering particles are added during the manufacture to reduce the shining of that material. So these all things can be observed. Then another observation is made via microspectrophotometer. Visible light microspectrophotometer. It is another device that is of great importance because it is based on the analysis of sample based on the different spectrum that is obtained from the color. Fibers would definitely contain some color, and that color would be analyzed by this microspectrophotometer. This is how this device looks like. So this technique is not just limited to the size of the sample, that is not the lacuna. Even the sample which are millimeter or less than that can be examined by this microscope. And one more add on to this point is it is non-destructive technique, means your sample won't get destroyed. You just have to mount the sample in the slide and watch it under the microspectrophotometer. As simple as that. Non-destructive technique means in the spectroscopies, if you are aware with it, the sample usually get destroyed in most of the technique, like you in atomic absorption spectroscopy or emission spectroscopy, you won't be left with the sample, and fiber are so minute and so small that we cannot take any chances, isn't it? And a more detailed comparison of the dye which is used in the fiber can also be made. You can take the help of thin layer chromatography plate. This is how a TLC plate look like. What all you have to do is just take the strand of fiber that you have obtained in the crime scene, dip it in the suitable solvent and just spot it. Spotting will be done like this. Place it here, a drop will be placed here, and then drop the entire plate in the suitable solvent. Wait for a few time and you will observe that the dye will be automatically separated. So it can be used for making comparison. Just take two fiber, dip them separately, and separately you have to spot them in the TLC plate and watch the distance which it covers, and you can calculate its retention factor as well. As we are done with the microscopic examination of fiber, here is an image and which shows the scanning electron photomicrograph of what of cross section of the nylon fiber. This fiber is obtained from the sheet that was used to transfer the body of the victim that was being murdered. And now we have another most important examination that will be followed up by the microscopic examination. Microscopic is kind of preliminary examination where the dye composition and some basic conclusions were made. After that, now you have to be more specific with your examination, which is possible with the help of knowing its chemical composition, like what are the chemicals that are used in manufacture of that particular fiber, and what are the factors that distinguish it from other fiber materials that must have been obtained by you in the crime scene as a forensic investigator. So here's the paragraph which explain all the aspects. The comparison will be solely based to enhance the subclassification and to make some of the generic conclusions. Like here is an excellent example that will explain this entire paragraph and the statements that were made by me. Like here, four different type of nylon is available in different form: nylon 6, nylon 610, nylon 11, and nylon 6,6. You must know that nylon is manufactured solely in factory. It has no relation to do with the nature obtained raw material, so it is a synthetic fiber. Nylon is available in all of these four forms, but there must be some characteristic feature which is common among all of them. Each may differ in shape, appearance, or the composition of dye or the basic chemical structure, but there would be some or other similarity which states that all of them are nylon. Let us take an example of fruits. Fruits, there are n number of fruits, maybe mangoes, apples, watermelon, kiwis, whatnot. But they all of them have some things which is quite common in them. They contain fiber, they are rich source of sucrose, most of them, and they are all obtained from plants. So this is what makes them similar to each other. Similarly, all of these nylons have shared similarity among them. More than 200 different sample of acrylic fiber revealed that they could be divided into 24 distinguishable group on the basis of their polymeric structure and the microscopic characteristics that will be studied for. This last paragraph I think is not of much importance. It is just based on how we can distinguish ourselves as a criminalist from that of the textile chemist. It simply states that textile chemists have huge amount of fiber with them to do experiments with and to follow all the things that they have desired to, but we as a criminalist, as a forensic expert, have very small minute amount of fiber, and we are responsible to make all the examination based on the single piece of fiber. Like here, have a look at this. When the cross section of the fiber is examined, all these different types were observed. It can be a round cross sectional fiber. If possible, it will be a trilobe, multi-lobe, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here are 5 lobes. Then it can be dumbbell shaped, it can be flat. So different cross section can also be helpful to differentiate one fiber from another. This is another way of examining. And now the most important way and the most common way of fiber examination is dye composition. All the clothes that you wear mostly are colorful. How they are made? So by addition of dye while the manufacture process. So dye examination can also be made by viewing them under the comparison microscope. Two types of fiber that you have obtained in the crime scene will be kept side by side, and examination will be made thereafter. So most textile fiber are, okay, this is what I have explained to you, are mostly based on most of the distinguishing factor that you will be following up is what the dye composition, the cross section is rarely observed. Here are two samples. Both of them are different in color, means different type of dye must have been used. What is a dye? A chemical that is used to transfer color to the substances, be it your hair or cloth piece or whatever. Then we have this most important segment which I have taken from the EPG Pathshala's PDF. There is an entire PDF, but I found this segment more helpful because it is solely based on the examination of fiber. So while doing the preliminary examination, we usually take help of hand magnifier and the stereo microscope. Stereo microscope is one of the most powerful microscope, and in the beginning of lecture I have explained its importance. Then we will be able to observe the twist of the thread, the string, rope, cord, and the number of strands that is present in the fiber along with the number of total strings in the fiber. Here are some tests that can be done on the fiber to figure out its different properties, like burning test. It is a kind of destructive test because here we will burn the fiber. Why the fiber is being burned? To observe the odor of the fiber, to look at the appearance of the ashes that are obtained on burning the fiber. Then we have thermal decomposition. Thermal decomposition is not as same as burning of fiber. Why? In burning of fiber, the entire fiber would be burned, but in thermal decomposition, only the heat will be supplied to the fiber. It won't be entirely burnt. So this is the main difference. Then we have this chemical test where fiber will be administered with different type of chemical. Now this chemical could be anything. It could be a strong acid, it could be a strong alkali, it could be a strong base as well. Here are name of some strong acids and alkalis that are given. Then we will do a density gradient test. Density test means density of water is 1 gram per ml. I hope you know so. But olefin, here is an exception to it, and this exception could be asked in the examination. So let us highlight it. Olefin is the only fabric that will float in the water, means rest all of the fabric would sink in the water. You can try it yourself. Just take any kind of fiber from the cloth, and you can do this experiment by yourself. Now, refractive index test. Now, what is refraction? When the light travels from one medium to another, here's some sort of bending that will be observed. When it travels from the denser to rarer medium or from rarer to denser medium, same thing happen when we do this refractive index test. Bending of light when it passes from this is what I've explained to you. Investigators, what they will do, they will take an unknown sample of the liquid, and they will carry out the measurement via this unknown liquid sample. Same thing is done while taking the measurement of the refractive index of glass. Investigators measure the refractive index of an unknown sample with the liquid of a known refractive index. Two type of liquid would be, or two type of sample would be there. One which is where the refractive index is known, and another where the refractive index is not known. Then place the sample in different liquid until the Becky line is no longer visible. Fluorescence, almost component that we administer with UV light are what they contain fluorescence. They contain fluorescence, which is why we observe them under UV light. Laundry soap and some bleach have whitening agent that cause blue light to be reflected, making it appear white. Now, why we are discussing about laundry soap or bleach? Because clothes are often administered with them. So here are high chances that they will show positive result when observed under UV light. Then dyes, simple. The examination of dye has been discussed n number of time in the entire lecture. So different dye can be the easiest method to compare the different type of fabrics. Then another method is of pyrolysis gas chromatography, that is PGC, and the thin layer chromatography, that is TLC. How to perform TLC is beautifully explained by me in the beginning of the slide, but I will explain this to you again because it is mentioned again. Pyrolysis gas sample. Lysis means to break down something under the influence of heat. PGC is a technique where we will be expected to convert the solid sample directly into the gaseous form. Okay, and now what will happen? The gaseous form will give you chromatogram. Chromatogram means it is based on the composition of dye as well. Different type of fiber will contain different colors. So each one of them would produce different peak in the chromatogram. And here we can make the examination of the sample. And then TLC technique, we need a suitable solvent. Just dip your fiber in that suitable solvent, it will leave the dye, then dye would be spotted in the TLC plate 1 centimeter above or something. Then it just wait for it to run, and retention factor will be calculated based on the observation. So this is what it is mentioned here. TLC is a technique for identification and comparison of dye of the fiber, which is why what I have explained to you, we are expected to dip the dye into the suitable solvent. It is very sensitive, rapid as well, because it won't take more than 30 minutes, I guess, to make the entire examination. Highly sensitive technique and simple technique. You won't require anything, any high level equipments and labors, time, nothing would be required. It is just based on simple TLC plate and the suitable solvent, be it your chloroform or anything. It does not involve costly equipment as well. Look what I have told you. And it is no workload as well, high labor requirement, no nothing as such. TLC has limitation. It cannot be done for yellow colored fiber. So note it down precisely, and I am expecting you to make notes as well. So this is it for the day. In next lecture we will discuss about the MCQs that are based on the fiber analysis, that are extremely useful for UGC net, and some of them would be previous year questions as well. So just subscribe our channel, and thank you for watching the lecture.